Yeah, so hello back, boys and girls, for studying logic together. Uh, we want to dive in deeper into the subject of logic. And again, I just say that at the beginning, I'm not a very good and professional logician, but I always admired logicians for their exactness. And I always wanted to study that and maybe replace my cat logic and acquire the superpowers of logic themselves. So let's get back to the book of Gensler that we are reading as an introduction for studying it together. Please leave comments if I do something wrong. I most likely do something wrong, but this is the sense of this. It's not a perfect lecture. It's watching somebody who struggles with logic. Okay, so we have here the assumption it is not true that there is an x, so that fx. So what that means is there is no one in the world who has the property of f, which may be funny. No one's funny. Therefore, for all x, it is true that not fx and gx. So nobody is, let's say, great and funny. Okay, and we see immediately that that is true, but we also want to prove it. It's always like we don't just want to believe something, we want to prove it, right? So, and how do we do that? How do they do it? Well, they assume the opposite again, a reduction ad absurdum again. That means they assume the opposite and then they try to see whether there is a contradiction in the following steps. They do. So let's see what they did here. So it seems from 2 they derive there's at least one x, so that fx and gx. And when we do this, we actually don't have to star off this line. I wonder why that has a star. Or do we have to star that off? Because it's a negative all quantifier, right? Maybe a negative all quantifier we have to star off. Let's look in our star off rules again. Where did we have the star off rules? Yeah, star any well-formed formula on which you reverse squiggles. So reverse squiggles we have to star off, but pure all quantifiers we don't have that. Because actually this is, wait, where is it? I lost my track. Here we are, right? Yeah, that's it. So we have to star that off because it's a hidden existential claim, right? And then we go through to the, hey, that's another proof, right? Let me find, where's the right one? Here it is, right? No? This is what we're doing. Okay, we have to start this off because there's an existential quantifier, right? We drop the universal and turn it, or actually we reverse the statement into an existential statement. So, and then in the fourth line, what do we do now? We derive from 1. And what do we derive from 1? For all x, it is true that not fx. Do we have to start off for that reason? Now I have to look up again. Don't see why we start off line 1. Maybe we start that off later. So for all x, I mean, I can see that we can reverse that line, right? And say, okay, that means that for all x, they don't have the property f. And then from 3, we can conclude that f and g for an individual. So that means we have to start off 3. We have to do that. And then from 4, we can conclude that there must be an individual that is not FA. And from 5, we can conclude FA by dropping GA. We're allowed to do that. And then we have a contradiction. That means the assumption X, it is true for all X that not Fx and Gx, which we wanted to prove. Okay, so that's the basic proof here. And let me double check once more for why we start off the first one. Well, I really don't see the reason here for that. If you know, then let me know. Maybe it has to do with this transformation from not there's no x so that fx, and then we say for all x it is true. But I think we could still use that and turn that into a statement. Maybe it is because we say line 6 is derived from 4, but technically line 4 is derived from 1. Maybe we started off for that reason. I'm not entirely sure. So now we have different tasks. I also want to do that at some point. I have to find a solution of how I can write so that you can see my writings. It's my major question here. But how would I do it? Just very quickly, for all x, it is true that fx, therefore gx or fx, that's obviously true, well, because I can always add an or to any kind of statement. When it is raining outside, I can say it is raining or the hell freezes over. That statement is true. And so yeah, how would I prove that? I would assume the opposite again. It is not true that x, gx, or fx. And then we go through that proof. It is not true that there exists an x so that fx and not gx. It's not possible that there exists someone who's funny and not great. Let's say it like that. And then that means that for all x, it is also true that if somebody is funny, then he's great. So that also makes sense. And I probably would try for all of these proofs a reduction ad absurdum. Maybe in this instance I could do another one. No, I'm not entirely sure. I had to do it on paper. And maybe we do that in the future together. So that's for this so far. And if you can tell me why the first formula start off, then let me know in the comments. Other than that, study more logic, live long, and prosper.